This is the new Hyundai Santa Fe. Blimey, kind of reminds me of the old Land Rover Defender, you know, the one that looked good. It's got a real luxury vibe to it. Loads of lovely tech, space for 7 people, and a price tag that puts it in between the mainstreams and the premium SUVs. Could this Hyundai be Car of the Year? Let's find out. You'd think that a big car such as this would have a big engine to match. Maybe a 6-cylinder? No, it's 4-cylinder only in the UK. Also, it's only got 1.6 litres in capacity. Now you can get a plug-in hybrid version with 253 horsepower, or this self-charging hybrid which has 215 horsepower. Does that mean it's slow? The first car I ever bought for myself was a Ford Fiesta Mark II XR2. So that was considered a quick car in the 1990s, and it did 0 to 60 in just over 10 seconds. So if this can do 0 to 60 in just under 10 seconds, I can't call it slow. So let's find out what it is. Specialist timing gear here, time to launch it. So the initial pickup was off the electric motor. Then you got the petrol motor kicking in pretty blooming quickly. I didn't mind the noise of it revving it out either. And I tell you what I really don't mind, 0 to 60 in 8.15 seconds, which is actually quicker not only than my old XR2, but a Peugeot 205 GTI, the car that I actually lusted for when I had the XR2. So that is actually pretty impressive. So no worries about the engine being too small then. Actually, it could be a different story when you're trying to overtake on the motorway, but more on that later. But for now, that is not bad at all. However, 0 to 60 times isn't really why someone might choose to buy this car. There's another reason. You buy a Hyundai because it offers good old-fashioned value for money. So the Santa Fe range kicks off at £46,000. But if you want this trim level, it's £50,000. Now it does make it quite a bit more expensive than the equivalent Skoda Kodiaq or Nissan X-Trail. If you look at it another way, it significantly undercuts the likes of the Audi Q7 and Land Rover Discovery. But that's not all. You see, I think it's right to compare it to those premium brands because it does look like a premium vehicle. I especially love the H daytime running lights. You've got premium features like 20-inch alloy wheels as standard, roof bars, you get them on all versions as well, and there's no mistaking or denying that there's a whiff of the old Land Rover design language in there, isn't there? A bit like the current Land Rover Discovery, there's a bit of a shocker round the back. It's not great from this angle. It's like they did a good job of designing the rest of the car and then just ran out of design ideas at the end and just went, yeah, that'll do. I can sort of forgive them though. Each their own, it's all a matter of opinion. What do you think of it?
I really like it.
So Adam likes it. That's Adam there. Adam likes it. James?
I don't like the rear.
You just didn't want me to take the pee out of what you're wearing, although, you know, people in glass houses. Anyway, hopefully the inside is a lot better. Well, the interior does look rather special. I love the design. This big screen reminds me of a BMW. However, I like the fact that you do have the climate control button separate from the main infotainment screen, which you don't on a BMW. It does feel special and expensive in here. It's definitely up there with the premium brands, but does it feel premium? Overall, the materials do feel lovely. And got to say this, these are among the quietest electric windows, bar a Lexus. That just makes the car feel expensive. So too do these lovely seats. They are very comfortable and I like this light coloured interior, though there are other interiors available if you prefer. Certain bits don't feel quite so nice. The material's down here and here on the door, a little bit on the cheap feeling side. And then there's this, which is the gear selector. It's sort of like an electric razor that's stuck on there. It's not the highest quality either. However, its location is rather handy. You see, the advantage of having that drive select lever there is that it's just so easy to operate. Look, I want to go to reverse, to park into this space, not reaching down here, not going like that, it's just in the perfect place. And then when you want to go forward again, stop, boom, forward, so good. Function over form. That's what Hyundai's gone for with that, and you know, I appreciate that. I also appreciate the way this car drives in town, because it does remind me of a Land Rover Discovery, the previous one, you know, the boxy one, the one that everyone really liked. Because you sit quite high, not as high as in the Discovery, but because you've got that flat bonnet, you get a really good sense of where the corners of the car are. You also get a good view forward as well. These pillars aren't too bad, and you've got big door mirrors which give you a good view out, plus the view out the back window is good. And then the brakes, you know, some hybrids can have grabby brakes. These are pretty progressive, so you don't end up like headbutting the steering wheel when you're just trying to slow down gradually. Also, the suspension feels nice and compliant. You get the occasional like rocking from side to side like you do in a Land Rover Discovery when you go over bigger bumps, but that kind of gives it a feeling of expensive SUV-ness. Now, one of the good things about it is that while it's big, it's still quite manoeuvrable. So the turning circle is 11.6 meters. Now, a car with a better turning circle is the Nissan X-Trail. You can see my full video review of that by clicking on the pop-out banner or scanning the QR code. But the surround view cameras and all the sensors on this just make it easy to navigate where you're going, and I hopefully can just make this without curbing the wheels. Yes. And then this with the indicator just gives me a great view out over here as well, my blind spot, so I'm really aware of what's around me. Also, the hybrid system is fairly smooth. This car, being the normal hybrid, will coast along at low speeds on electric power low, but it doesn't take long for the petrol motor to kick in, but it's not intrusive really. And oh look, over there's another one. Look, someone's bought a grey Hyundai Santa Fe. Overall, this is a nice car to drive around in town. However, is it a nice car to be driven in? There's plenty of room here in the middle row. You can slide the seats like that, and you can recline them. Wow. That's really good and very comfy. Plenty of headroom, plenty of knee room, lots of foot space, and the car's quite wide, so even with 3 adults in the middle row, it's comfy enough for everyone. There is one question: where the heck are the climate controls for the middle row? I have seat heaters for the outer seats, but no climate. Wait a minute. What's going on here? So people in the very back can control the ventilation, but not if you're in the middle row. That's odd. What happens if there's no one in the back? You have to reach around to control the ventilation. So tech generally throughout the car is pretty good. So if you look back here, you'll see we've got a 230 volt socket there. You've got an old-fashioned 12 volter over there, and then you've got USB-C there and a USB-C on the other side. And I like this as well. You have the USB-Cs here built into the front seat sides. Look there, and there's one there. But what is more important is, what is the tech like in the front? So you've got 2 USB-Cs there, and with this one you can toggle between actually file download or charging only. And then you've got 2 wireless chargers there. And I like the fact that when you put your phone on there, wait a minute, it's not working. I think you have to shut the door for it to work. So we'll just shut the door. There we go. And now it'll work. Watch this. So you put your phone on there, and then you can see it charging on there. So you know that that wireless charging is actually working and charging your phone. But door's opened, and now it's gone off again. Bizarre! How bizarre! How bizarre! What's less bizarre is the infotainment system. So it's fairly easy to operate. I like the graphics, they're quite sharp. It's not the zippiest system, but it's okay. It's relatively easy to figure out all the different menus and swipe through things. I find it quite easy to use, and you've got some shortcut buttons, which are physical buttons down here, which I like as well. Really handy for these down here, especially the camera button. If you suddenly need to like get the cameras up to help you navigate and stuff like that, maneuver around tight spaces. Then we come to the main digital driver's display. It's nice and clear. You can just cycle through different menus and stuff like that. Is it doing the same thing again because the door's open? What you're doing? Oh, there we go. Look, lots of things that you can cycle in between. And on mid to high spec cars, you also get a heads-up display, which is very nice. And there's some other tech on this car as standard, which can just make your life easier. Now, there is one other piece of tech on this car which I love, because it just makes your life as a driver so much easier. See, all versions of the Santa Fe come with adaptive cruise control as standard, and I love adaptive cruise because I do a lot of miles and it just makes life easier. So I'm just going to turn it on now. There we go. Set the speed to the speed limit, and it will auto steer and keep me a safe distance from the car in front, and it'll keep me at the speed limit. So that just makes long distances nice and easy. Really does. On certain models of car, you have to pay extra for that feature, so it's great that Hyundai give it you, even with the entry-level model. Now I've just set the speed to 40 miles an hour because I want to see what the pickup is like on this car, going from 40 to 70, considering it's just got a 1.6 litre engine. So here we go, 3, 2, 1, I'm going to floor it now. Okay, so it's not insanely quick, but it's quick enough. That actually does all right. And because you've got that hybrid system with the electric motor giving you some instant get up and go, it doesn't feel that sluggish off the mark. It's definitely got enough performance. What about the economy though? It's quite a big car. What's that going to do? This car is averaging 36.9 miles to the gallon. And interestingly, the claim figure for this four-wheel drive version, the Santa Fe hybrid, is 38.2. So it's pretty blooming close. Also, while you can save some money buying the front-wheel drive version, it's not that much more economical. It's only supposed to do like just over 40 miles to the gallon. And that's because the four-wheel drive system is selectable. It actually only engages the back wheels when you need that extra traction. When you're cruising along normally on the motorway, it's just going to be running in front-wheel drive mode to save fuel. Speaking of which, when you're cruising along at motorway speeds, this is very relaxing. It's comfortable, it's quiet. Yeah, you can do mile after mile. This really does feel like quite luxurious transport. But what about if you're in the very back seats? Let's find out. So, space in the third row, headroom's all right. Do you know what? It's reasonably comfy. I think adults can travel in the back here, and I seem to have plenty of knee room, though there's not so much room here. Let's see what it's like when you actually have an adult sat in front of you. So James, if you can just get yourself reasonably comfy. Knee room's now a bit tighter, but I could live with that. And you're all right there, James?
Yeah, I could go back a bit more, maybe.
Please don't go back a bit more, because now it's less fun for me, and I'm just thinking, yeah, this is more for kids. Can you get to a position where you're actually fine, but I'm fine too?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is all right, actually. And I need to just show you this as well. If you need to get out, you press this button here on the top of the seat back like that. You move it forward, slide like that, and then you get in and out this way. But I'm not done yet, because I want to show you this. Look. So in the back you have two cup holders there, which is handy. But let's check out the storage spaces throughout the rest of the cabin. Hyundai says there's 18 cup holders in this car, so we've counted 2 in the back there on that side, another 2 there, so that's 4. Then here we have 5, 6, 7, and then 3 more on this side, 8, 9, 10. And then if we go into the front, we have 11, 12, and then obviously over the other side 13, 14, and then 15, 16, too short. Oh, I know. Look. Here it is. 17, 18. But that's not the only practical elements to this car. Look at this, right? We have folders on the seat backs, we have hooks here. Then there's this. You've got this sliding element here where you can keep stuff, and you can access it through there, and there's a tray on top which you can remove, and then you'll actually see this sliding tray is actually really long, so you can fit loads of stuff in there. Also here on the doors you'll see that you've got blinds, sunshades, and then if we go into the front of the car, underneath here there's loads of storage with a cheeky 12-volt socket there as well. And we've got a glove box here, which is of modest size. And then there's another glove box up here. And actually on the range stopping version, that has a little UV light, so you can put your mobile phone in there and it'll actually disinfect it with the UV light as you're driving along. Clever. But we haven't even got to the main storage area. Now Hyundai don't actually state the capacity of the boot with all 7 seats in place. Look, but there isn't much room, but you could fit a few airplane style carry-on suitcases in there. Now if you fold down the rearmost seats, which is easily done, then you have 630 litre capacity. And look, there's no load lip, so it's easy to slide things in and out. To fold down the middle row, all I have to do is press these buttons here, like that. So if I just press that one in, and then you have loads of space. It's still not quite as big in terms of total capacity as a Land Rover Discovery, or at the other end of the price scale, a Škoda Kodiaq. And that brings on to 5 annoying things about the new Hyundai Santa Fe. Because the plug-in hybrid version of the Santa Fe can only do 34 miles on electric power alone, it falls into the slightly higher 12% bracket for benefiting company car tax, whereas the plug-in hybrid version of the Škoda Kodiaq, which can do 75 miles on electric power alone, falls into the 5% bracket. So if you're a company car driver, this car will be less appealing. If you like caravanning, then the Hyundai Santa Fe won't be for you. You see, the maximum towing capacity of all versions is 1.1 tonnes. Now compare that to the maximum towing capacity that you can get with the Nissan X-Trail of 2 tonnes and 2.4 tonnes for a Škoda Kodiaq. It's not great, is it? And when you're comparing it to its more premium rivals, things like the Audi Q7 and Land Rover Discovery can all tow 3.5 tonnes. For a car that has loads of equipment, I'm a bit surprised that there's no washer for the rear camera. So if it gets covered in crud and you need to clean it, you're going to have to do it manually. Is that better? The low cover doesn't quite extend far enough forward, so even when you push the chairs back like this, you'll see, look, there's a gap, and I'm going to try and hide what's in the boot as best as I can. So with the seats in this position, you can still see in a little bit. So I just want to have the confidence to leave things in the boot under this low cover, just in case someone like spies in and decides to break a window and take whatever you've left there. I know you shouldn't leave things in the car, but I mean, everyone does, don't they? It's a little bit disappointing that a practical family car such as this doesn't have ISOFIX anchor points for a child seat here on the front passenger seat. However, that brings on to 5 good things about this car, because you do have ISOFIX anchor points here on the 2 outer middle seats, and there's another 2 ISOFIX anchor points here on the rear seats as well. So it's not all bad. If you've got a car full of people, it can be really difficult to see at the back window because they sort of block your view. However, all but the entry-level version of this car has this neat little feature. If I pull up on this, you get a camera feed from a camera on the back. So now, look, you can see what's behind you without anyone blocking your view. For an extra £2,000, you can specify this car with 4-wheel drive, and then you get a special terrain mode like this. So if I press that in there, you can choose between snow, mud, or sand settings. I think it's a no-brainer. You have a customizable button down here, and you can configure it by pressing this on here, and you can choose that to operate phone projection, calendar, weather, sports, passenger talk, whatever that is, quiet mode, display on or off, or none, so it does nothing. There's also another button here on the steering wheel which you can customize, and that's this one here, and you can use that to put the car into quiet mode, to move to the hybrid screen, or to go to your driver assistant settings. That's really handy when you're driving along and you want to just quickly toggle something, because if I press it now, look, I have my driver assistant settings there, though I still have to then, when I'm driving, press these to deactivate them. No, you know. Shame you can't actually just turn them all off using this button, but that's better than nothing. When you're in eco mode, the paddles actually operate the regen effect. So if I pull on this downshift paddle, you'll see that it's increasing the level of regen braking. If I pull up on this one, you'll see that it decreases it. However, when I press this down and go into sport mode on here, then these paddles now change the actual gears of the car. I think that's really clever, but does it actually enhance the driving experience? So what I'm going to do now is go into sports mode. My gear shifters are now controlling the gears. And pickup does feel good. As ever, the safety systems are there to prevent me getting too carried away and injuring myself. Warning me about the vehicle in front. That's my camera car, so it's all right. This car is fitted with loads of safety systems, and one of them is attention assist, so it can tell if you're taking your eyes off the road for any period of time, and then it beeps at you. So let's see if I can like engage it, because sometimes you can just be like looking at the dials like that. I mean, you saw how long my eyes were off the road there for no time at all, and it's beeping, and it's really annoying. In fact, some of the other safety systems like lane departure warning and speed limit can be annoying as well, and it's especially annoying that while you can turn them off, they default on again when you start the car again. So to turn them off, you actually have to go into settings, vehicle, driver assistance. Oh, it's telling me off again for not looking at the road. I was looking, I was glancing backwards and forwards, and then I want to turn it off by pressing that and then going off. Make sure you do that before you start every drive, but it's a faff that you have to do that. Shame you just don't have a button to turn them all off like that. It's so much easier. For a tall, practical car, it's not half bad, you know. To those who aren't English, that means it's quite good. So it doesn't lean terribly in the bends at all. There's sufficient grip, and surprisingly, the steering feels quite responsive. I like it. It also feels quite unflappable, so if you hit a bump mid-corner, it doesn't skip about unwieldingly. It actually just stays quite composed and unflustered. I mean, it's always erring on the side of comfort and relaxation, but that doesn't mean that it can't show you a clean pair of heels if you need to get a wiggle on. So it's almost like this car can do pretty much everything. So how does that affect my overall verdict? Should you avoid, consider, shortlist, or just go right ahead and buy the new Hyundai Santa Fe? Well, I reckon you should just go right ahead and buy it. It really is a brilliant car. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below. Click on the video windows for some more videos and on the CarWow logo to see how much you can save on your next car. Thanks for watching.